I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'm not even supposed to be here today! Oh, fuck you!
Come on, you want me to drive? You're supposed to be suicidal. Remember, I'll
Anybody
drive.
a drive?
Get in the car. Fuck me in the ass. Fuck you, you stupid cunt.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I am here with the top 11 worst movies of 2024, and technically I filmed this one first because doing both of these back-to-back is a little bit hard, so I thought I'd do this one first. I'll save the best of 2024 until after I see Sonic 3. Keep in mind this was recorded around December 14th, so it's just premiering December 30th. Because I'm just saving it for the end of the year. Could get one of them done and just get the best one done after Christmas. Or after I review Sonic 3. And then maybe rank the trilogy. But yeah, we're going to be counting down the list for the 11 worst films to come out this year. And keep in mind, these ones are just my opinion. If you like a lot, I have a feeling if you like a lot of these that are going to be on this list, each their own. I just did not like some of these ones that a lot of people did. So yeah, until then guys, let's get started with the top 11 worst movies of 2024 in 3, 2, 1, go. So kicking off at number 11 is going to be February 2024's Argylle. This was easily my first anticipated movie of the year for me because I love Matthew Vaughn as a director with stuff like Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class, Kingsman, The Secret Service. And a spy film starring Henry Cavill seemed great. But instead, you want to know what we got? We just got some Lost City ripoff, where this time our actual duo, Henry Cavill's just a fake character existing in a bunch of novels, teaming up with John Cena, and the novels are written by Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays this whiny dumbass writer who carries around this gross, awful CGI cat named Alfie, who runs into what was the character I wish this movie was about instead, Sam Rockwell. If you're gonna do this writer thing, I wish Sam Rockwell could have been the guy writing the novels instead, or just still have the Henry Cavill plot, just have Sam Rockwell be his partner instead. I would have liked that better. Argylle had the right ingredients to be this cool action hit, but you don't get that here. You just get cheap, watered-down knockoff of the Kingsman films and the Lost City combined into one film, and you have a top-tier cast and some of Hollywood's biggest names, but you can't deliver the potential from here. From the start, it's obvious how much Argylle just struggles to try to get its own identity. You're just recycling tired tropes of familiar beats from better spy films. The pacing is also way too damn slow. This film goes over 2.5 hours too fucking long. It drags on far too long in a very predictable, uninspired plot. It seems that could be thriller suspenseful. They just go on forever as if the filmmakers were trying to fill a runtime that didn't need to be this damn long in the first place. And the pacing just highlights how derivative the story is. You feel like you've just seen it all before, but it's just done better in other films. And for action, yeah, there's action in the movie, but this is not action I want to fucking see. Like, if you're trying to do a film that's building up some Kingsman universe, that will not happen after this movie bombed. What I don't want to see is Bryce Dallas Howard ice skating on CGI oil for 20 damn minutes like some shy guy in Mario Kart Double Dash, or Catherine O'Hara or Bryan Cranston making fucking fools of themselves with their shitty British accents. Catherine O'Hara quoting Mortal Kombat as her final lines, "Finish him!" with a fucking music box. Or Bryan Cranston getting scratched in the face by Alfie the CGI cat, also making a fucking fool of himself. Yeah, the CGI cat and Alfie even hogs up half the film, and the ending sets up a bunch of Kingsman spin-offs that are never going to happen because nobody went and saw the film and it bombed. Does Argyle have positives? Yeah, a few of them. Like, the cast does their best with what they're given, and there are moments where the charm shines through. And also, like, I did like Sam Rockwell's character. I don't know why the movie could have been about him and Henry Cavill, not Bryce Dallas Howard's lame character. That would have been better. But no, unfortunately, that's not what we got, and instead we got a Lost City ripoff that some of the good moments are even able to save the film from a bunch of mediocrity. So much for that. Now, kicking off at number 10 is going to be Bad Boys Ride or Die. Yes, it's on the fucking list, and I don't care if people want to get mad at me for saying that, because it's going to stay on the fucking list, because, like, for someone who actually liked Bad Boys for Life, Ride or Die pissed me off. This is everything I did not want in a Bad Boys movie, and to me, this just felt like a disservice to what the franchise really is. Like, this was the sign where it's definitely time for this franchise to just retire. The charm that made, like, the first 3 films enjoyable, even the third one, even the third one, it was still there, is completely gone in this movie. This one, you get way too many characters crammed in, characters that are not even interesting to watch, and you hardly have any semblance to, like, the storylines. Like, any semblance of any reality behind the storylines is all gone. Besides, like, this plot twist where apparently Captain Howard knew of his death and his suspected corruption, and the complicity of the main characters Mike and Marcus, the storyline's just too familiar and predictable in this one, like, right here. So, you think, like, after seeing that post-credit scene of Bad Boys for Life, maybe the movie was going to be about Mike and Armando going on that case for Armando to redeem himself. That's not what the movie's even about. And before the reunion, Mike Armando's efforts of establishing a father-son son bonded happens almost way too quick, and, like, you're not promised that. You think, like, with the post-credit scene of 3, you knew what this film would probably be about. Well, guess what? Like, when he visits Armando in prison, Mike's like, we're gonna go on this case together to help you redeem yourself to the public. Well, guess what? That was all a lie, because what this film pretty much shows, Armando's still in prison, and that never happened. Like, what do you get here instead? Yeah, Howard apparently somehow knew of his death, despite the fact that was supposed to come off as a shock and out of nowhere in the third one. What do you get here? You make Marcus more of a stupid dumbass this one. He was kind of one in the first 3 films, except he had some sense of intelligence at lots of times. And except this time around, he's not funny at all. Like, no, I don't want to see Marcus shoplift Skittles at a 7-Eleven in his opening scene, then get some heart attack and become some junk food frenzy for over 30 damn minutes of his scenes. And apparently, like, whenever he eats any junk food, his heart attack never comes back and seems immortal to like running and stuff. Is somehow immortal to all of that. Or how about a scene of him telling Mike that he was once a donkey he owned, and actually being in a post-credit scene. The duo running through the jungle like Jumanji, or especially don't want to see a final shootout in a Bad Boys movie on an alligator farm, and them having to avoid the gators or shooting bad guys into the gator-infested waters like the Looney Tunes back-in-action jungle level for the finale. The plot even adds a plot hole, with Howard apparently knowing of his death, because in Bad Boys for Life, when he got shot, it came out of nowhere. Came out of nowhere, and somehow now Mike blames himself for it all of a sudden, despite the fact that it was never even evident in the third one at all. Oh no, hey, how about we reference the Oscar slap in the final scene of the movie, when Martin slaps Mike, to snap him out of his frequent panic attacks that keep happening throughout the film. Now, yeah, the movie does have a good action scene with Reggie in the finale, but that's about it. And trust me, guys, this will not be the last one at all, because literally, they will make more of these, because Will Smith has nothing left in his career after the whole Oscar scenario. Martin Lawrence, the guy had never had anything else in his career except for this, because every other movie he did bombed, or either made money if you were a shitty Big Mama's House sequel. Oh, and the villains are even lame compared to some of the other ones. Here too. Like this, you know what this movie should be called? Bad Boys, just retire now, please. Now kicking off at number 9 is going to be Alien Romulus, or as it's better called, Alien, the greatest nostalgia baiting hits the movie. Yeah, as much as I didn't like Bad Boys Ride or Die, I would certainly watch that over this movie. Because not even that was just a bunch of nostalgia baiting fan service throughout every single scene. Sorry, like, I don't know what people saw when they said this was the best entry since Aliens. To me, all this movie consists of scenes like, oh, hey, you remember this movie, or that movie, or that movie, or that movie, or that movie, in a bunch of scenes. You remember the whole franchise? In general. What makes Alien and Alien special was their lore and unknowing about the whole dangerous alien species. Like, Alien and Aliens really set the bar, and everything like since Aliens has been nothing but either dog shit like Alien 3 or unintentionally hilarious shit like Alien Resurrection, disappointing shit like AVP, Alien vs. Predator, even worse, hard to see bullshit that's just over bleak for the sake of being cool and badass, despite the fact it feels like it's clearly written by some sociopath that just escaped a mental hospital and just randomly watched an Alien movie when he got out and thought he could make a better crossover called AVP Requiem. And then he had the prequel films, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I did used to decently like, but they have aged pretty badly, honestly. Like, as I've started becoming a better YouTube critic, they've aged pretty bad. Then this one is just a bunch of nostalgia compilation of having references to every other film. So it feels like a greatest hits movie instead. That apparently was really successful. This maybe still be some action horror film like Aliens is, but it just follows the same old plot as every other one. A crew boards a dangerous ship, they unleash the xenomorphs. Everyone dies but one sole survivor, and we always need to have a Ripley in this crew. Every time. There's just nothing special about this at all. There's barely any character development. Okay, never mind. You know what? The one character I did like in the movie was Andy, the android. I don't know why, like, this film could have been about him instead, and have better written characters, and not have him with some discount dumbasses who basically want to break into Wayland Yutani of all areas to steal some cryostasis so they can get out of Dodge. Of all their plans they do, it's like, the group consists of basically this bland sibling who's just trying badly to be Ripley, an asshole ex-boyfriend, a girl just there to be pregnant and just basically be a victim to the facehuggers, some hippie cousin. The alien xenomorphs in this one are even clumsy, they barely feel threatening at all, and they're not even scary at all in this movie. I did not get scared one bit at all when watching this film. Nothing to this movie felt scary at all. Like, you could tell most of the characters are just cannon fodder because none of them have any good character development. Don't even get me fucking started on the awful digital cameo of Ian Holm that's over that new character they just disguised as some new character, but put Ian Holm's likeness and digital AI self over the character. Let the damn poor guy rest in peace, please. Oh, and apparently somehow the xenomorphs can now grow faster in this movie. I mean, a chest burster or an adult xenomorph apparently, like, grows in, like, 10 minutes now this time. Like, apparently they can now grow faster than they ever did in the other films. I mean, when it comes to this movie, I mean, the visual effects are fine. They would have been great if they hadn't been done before in plenty of other better films. Like, surprised this was so successful because this just felt like a fan-written movie. It stank like one, tastes like one, I could tell it was clearly one. It was just with some nice visuals and nice sound effects. I mean, there's been worse films this year than this movie, no doubt. I mean, I'll still watch this over Alien 3. Alien 3 I still think is worse. AP Requiem I still think is worse. But this wasn't any better. If you like this movie, fine, but other than that, Alien also needs to just retire already. But sadly it won't, because we're getting a TV series, and we'll probably get more sequels to this. Kicking off at number 8 is going to be Imaginary, one of 2 Bumhouse horror films that are going to be on this list. And let me tell ya, as unintentionally hilarious as this movie was, this was one of the many shitty horror films we all had this year. I mean, we had some exceptions like Terrifier 3 and Quiet Place Day 1. But God, this year sucked ass for horror just as much as 2023 did. And this film is no exception. Like, holy hell, this must have been one of the worst years for Blumhouse they've ever had, because almost every horror film they did this year bombed. Like, this film has, except for Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil was actually pretty good. This film has just about terrible dialogue, bad acting, right? Like, the therapist gets some decent stuff about halfway through, and then changes genre and pace, but there's still the bad acting, and all the horror does not feel scary, and it just comes out of nowhere, and it feels so laughable. It just feels like you're watching some random low-budget film that you randomly see when you're just scrolling through Amazon Prime or Crave or Netflix. You don't know what to watch because there's nothing on that night, but the description sounds fine enough, so you give it a shot, and it's just a unintentionally hilarious but also forgettable experience. Maybe you don't regret watching it, but because you got some good laughs out of how bad it was, but you didn't really love it either. Like, when you have the ingredients, like, you have stuff like the screens of stuff like Blair Witch, or Poltergeist, or Nightmare on Elm Street, and Insidious roll into one. And guess what? Is that a good thing? Definitely not. This film shows that it's not a good thing to combine all of those better films than this. The story is just clumsily thrown all together to accommodate some, like, tired angle. The father in this one, he's poorly cast. It just disappears for most of the film and isn't missed because he never shows up again. The costumes are shown to be mundane and atrocious. The bulk of the budget looks like it just went to the big set piece that takes place in this funhouse area like the Insidious world. Our antagonist of the film is this teddy bear called Blue, who apparently is purple, and apparently that's supposed to be scary to the audience. But when he comes in the film, you just laugh at how shittily designed his design is, and how shitty his name is. Like you think a killer teddy bear is going to turn out scary. No, it's not. There was nothing scary about a teddy bear, apart from, apparently, his real design size. A killer teddy bear is just a stupid idea to begin with. Like, I'm surprised Blumhouse thought that'd be such a great idea for a horror film. Yeah, let's do a killer teddy bear, and except it won't be a slasher, it'll be a demonic ghost movie. Yeah, and that's how you get shit like Imaginary. Now, this movie can be watched as a comedy film, because, face it, the movie was unintentionally hilarious. Like, it's honestly just I honestly laughed in the theater at how shitty this movie was. But as a horror film, it's pure shit. Definitely. And guess what? Blumhouse, don't go anywhere just yet. Because you're going to have another horror movie coming on this list very soon. Now kicking off at number 7 is going to be another controversial take, Twisters. Guess what, people? Even before this standalone remake sequel came out, I already saw this movie long before this movie had even released in July this year. It's called the original movie from 1996, and it was actually good. This movie, just some lazy modern remake of the same fucking film. Hell, this does not even feel like a sequel. Now, yeah, obviously you can't mention Bill Paxton's character because Bill Paxton sadly passed away. But Helen Hunt is still around, so what the hell happened to her character? Or how are you even going to mention any of the tornado events in the first movie? If you're a sequel so much? But apparently not. This just feels like a remake that's just disguised as a sequel because they call it Twisters instead of Twister. Just take out the S, and it feels like it should still be called Twister because it's basically just a remake. Right here. And the new characters in this film, I do not give a fuck about, such as Glenn or his team of annoying TikToksters who do nothing but rave about their shirts and merchandise most of the film until like the middle act of the film. The special effects may be convincing, but after like the first few scenes with the tornadoes, right there, the boredom just sets in, and these tornadoes all feel so CGI'd and so added in. And the boredom sets in like giant screws. And it's hard to really believe that Daisy's character would be so attracted to Glenn Powell's character right there, because his character just comes off as just really annoying. And the plot is very filmsy right here. And you just have everything figured out within like the first 10 minutes. Oh look, here comes our tornado. Here's a team of experts who are clearly not experts at making decisions and clearly seem like the people that would probably just go film themselves in front of our tornado for the views and the attention. And oh yeah, some personal baggage that feels more forced than some tornado. It's not really a wild ride, it's just some gentle breeze, and one that easily just feels like easy for any fan of Twister to sleep through. Maybe not all of them, but maybe some people who don't like the film. Like, and also, these new characters, why the fuck should I give a shit about these newbies? Like, there's one scene in the movie where Anthony Ramos' character argues with Daisy, where after the scene in the pool, where her mother and her daughter almost died, and she's clearly upset that Ramos' team is clearly profiting off all these people's misery. And then during the argument, he straight up blames her for her friends' deaths because that happens in the beginning of the film. And then after Daisy and Glenn are staying at this family member's house, he suddenly shows up at her door, gives her this device, and says, about our argument last night, sorry. And just leaves. But then suddenly, when he sees Daisy and Glenn driving to that tornado near the movie theater, he suddenly decides, you know what? I'm gonna quit my crew at the last minute. So it's hard for me to buy his redemption here. It doesn't feel fun. That's a big deal. We're making a film about people chasing tornadoes. Like, this original movie was this chaotic adrenaline-fueled adventure with some generally exciting moments. This one, they just take all the action, they swap it for a couple of, hey, look at this, we're doing tornado science, and some awkward dialogue. It feels like you're just watching some random person feel like they can just chase some tornado, except it's not fun at all, and you don't really care about the newbies in this one chasing their tornadoes, unlike in the original, where it's actually much easier to care about them. Just like I did not care for this lame remake. Now look, if people love this movie, I'm happy for you, but I didn't like this movie. It's just my opinion. Now kicking off at number 6 is gonna be for, obviously, Night Swim. The very first movie of 2024. And not expected this was a shitty movie, because it's a January release. Guys, face it, it's rare for a January release to be good. Rare. Not only was this the very first shitty movie of 2024, this sadly had to be the movie that kick-started off 2024 in general. That's the thing with January films, and even January horror films like this. Somewhere between a kid's horror and teen horror, but it got marketed as an adult horror, could have saved any of the viewers' trouble if the trailers actually told us it was actually trying to be a horror film. The movie basically sets up this mystery that is pretty obvious. It's just pretty early at night, and at the very end they drop this amazing plot point they don't really want to even explore. They give us this focus and not some like family issues to some of the most generic personalities of any family that has ever been put on screen. And they try to make us care about the family even, and forgetting it's supposed to even be scary in the first place. The ghosts, are basically the ghost in Night Swim in the pool is literally this pretty much this ghost diarrhea poo water that clearly comes out of the pool's ass and enters Wyatt Russell's mouth to possess him, to the point where it ends up pretty much becoming an Amityville horror ripoff, except it's set in a swimming pool and not a house. There's even some stupid dialogue from Carrie Condon where she goes swimming in the pool at one point, asks the cat if it wants to go swimming. Not clearly, does the writers forget that cats can't fucking swim? Apparently, Jason Blum thinks cats can fucking swim, apparently. One of them is this old therapist or doctor or whatever the fuck, says this bit of dialogue that she apparently did not want to put poo in this pudding that she's bringing to a party or a barbecue. In one scene where Wyatt Russell gets possessed, it basically felt like with that line, some 3-year-old must have visited the set and scribbled that line over the script. Like, the main problem with types of horror films with this kind of concept like this, they're not scary at all. And this is definitely one of them. They're all cliched, like with the fashion they go out on, and it's always such the problem. Like we have the cliche, the father doesn't believe their son. Where has this been done? Lots of other movies. A lot of horror films, and when there should be terror, the terror is just so tedious and so pretentious. There's like so many uninteresting drama to the point where this doesn't even feel like a horror film, and for a horror movie, any of the horror is neither chilling nor frightening, and the backstory of the father's life-changing, career-endangering to sports in... Like, basically, our father character, what I would say, he has this life-changing sports injury, which they don't really bother to do much with, and the family has to settle down in this new home after his injury creates a circumstance. It feels more like a plot for a drama film than a horror film, and where the more intense elements try to get reasonably explored, but apparently this never does. And you want to know something about Night Swim? The only thing anybody will remember about this movie, as will I, all this was just yet another shitty January horror flick like it deserves to forever be remembered as. Now kicking off at number 5 is going to be another horror film, The Strangers Chapter 1. What could be lazier than remaking a horror film? Oh, I have a great idea. Since I'm Courtney Solomon, the dumbass from After Dark Films, how about we remake a horror film from 2008 called The Strangers? And not even that old year, and of a horror film that was not even a good movie to begin with and has aged badly. Because yeah, the tension, the atmosphere, the setting are all great. The fucking problem? That film has some of these stupid-ass fucking leads in a horror film I have ever saw in my life. These are examples of when their deaths and unlucky fates get bought on themselves for their own stupidity. But not just that, we're not just remaking that movie. You want to know even better? They're gonna split it in 3 damn parts. And it's all gonna be one big fucking trilogy. Yeah, great idea. As soon as you find out this is written by the guy that wrote the 8 Films to Die For Festival, wrote the infamous Craptivity, directed American Haunting, directed 2013's shitty attempt at Crank Getaway by starring Ethan Hawke, you know what you're in for. This wasn't directed by Courtney Solomon. There's something sadder and worse. This was directed by Rennie Harlan. Yeah, the Rennie Harlan who did Die Hard 2, who did Cliffhanger, who did Long Kiss Goodnight, who did Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Of all people, dude, of all the people that chose to direct this, it had to be you, dude. Are you serious? This is how you choose to make your comeback? That's just sad. Like, the plot for this first chapter is just the same thing as the 2008 film, except it's even worse. This version, the main characters, they're even stupider. They're even more or less interesting. The killer's masks look shitty and CGI plastered and awkward. The movie has nothing to the first one, and it's just predictable, and it insults the viewer's intelligence, and the performances in this movie are just awful. These 2 leads cannot fucking act. Or at least just break all the rules for being a horror film. Like, this Like, this one, like, the recent original, you had some good things. This one, you don't have anything good at all. Like, not even good bad horror. Like, the characters in this one, they're just straight up unlikable. And the movie keeps trying to, like, go from making fun of city folk with their technology reliance, eventually eating, and need to be in big cities and they're always busy, blah, 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 blah. Like, and the main guy, like, the husband in this movie, he is just intolerable. He acts all douchey. One of our leads makes one of the one scene, our female lead character makes even dumber decisions than Liv Tyler, where she puts her hand on a nail when they're trying to escape the killers, doesn't look where the fuck she's going, almost alerts the killers above them. Like, oh, and they remake several scenes too. Remember the cigarette scene? Well, we remember that. Remember the piano scene? Yeah, we remember that. Remember the ending scene where they get stabbed in their chairs? Yeah, we're doing that. And like, even stupider than the original, the main guy has one of them held hostage at gunpoint, and he has the advantage to kill one of them. He acts like but no, instead he blows it by acting like some badass cop, asks where's my girlfriend, bitch? Where's my girlfriend? And then, of course, the one he's holding hostage goes, for 5 fucking minutes. Yeah, 5 damn fucking 2 minutes of that shitty laugh. And then Baghead knocks him the fuck out, and his mask looks like utter crap. And then let's recycle the ending of the first movie. But it's not the ending, because the girl survives, because guess what? You have to watch 2 more chapters of the shit. Which I can bet you nobody's gonna go fucking watch. Because nobody liked this movie at all. Yeah, and if remaking a horror film for 2008 ain't bad enough, now Disney Studios, because I'm gonna mention this, they want to remake Moana because The Rock needs $1 billion, still can't stop having that $1 billion grossing movie, and now they want to do a fucking remake of Tangled. Hell, wow, are we gonna fucking remake everything because we're too lazy at this rate to do anything new? Yeah, like, this is one of the prime examples where I'm gonna quote Fabio. Just stop making movies. This movie is the prime example to stop making movies. Now kicking off at number 4 is going to be for Mean Girls, the 2024 movie, another January release. And I think this came out a week after Diarrhea Night Swim. Yep, another remake. Now it comes to the original Mean Girls. Mean Girls is a great teen comedy from the 2000s. But it sure as shit did not need to be written as a musical, and then have that musical turn into a film done by actors this time who can't act and clearly act like people just from TikTok trying to make a film out of this. Tina Fey and Tim Meadows, they come back in the movie as cameos of their characters, and they barely look like they give a fuck to even be doing this film. Tim Meadows looks bored as shit. He constantly makes references to him retiring from his job in all of his scenes, and to the point where that gag gets really annoying and not even funny. The characters in this version, they have no depth or chemistry. Amanda Seyfried's portrayal of Karen in the original, funny and ditzy, but still human. In this movie, there's none of that. She's just an unfunny dumbass. In the original, you could tell Janice and Damien were really friends. This version, they're the narrators, and they don't have any of that friend chemistry at all, and they look like they resent one another. In the original, it also works because the comedy's fresh and raw and unexpected. This was just a boring imitation, because they were adopting a musical that shouldn't have even been done to begin with, and I'm starting to wonder if the musical Broadway show is this shitty too. And a lot of the jokes are there, but they're not fun. A lot of the jokes are there, but they're not funny, or either they're censored because apparently they need to be family friendly. There's too much social media montage, and Janice and Damien's narration just sucks in comparison to Katie's narration in the original. All the sets look cheap and unnatural. Like, this is definitely an example of a disaster. And like, you know, some of the funniest scenes with Kevin in the original, like the Kevin Mathlete's rap, or any of his like cruder jokes. Either Tim Meadows or Tina Fey keep fucking censoring them, to make the damn film PG-13, but the original was PG-13 too, so it just makes these fourth wall breaks hypocritical. Yeah, and Katie in this film, for all her actions, gets forgiven way too easy here, when the original film, once her actions got exposed, she was punished for the rest of the film. And she was not forgiven until the very, very last scene. So her consequences were realistic. This movie, after her suspension is over, everything just goes back to fucking normal. Ugh. And they don't bring up any of the bad shit she's done. Renee Rapp, I guess, was fine as Regina, but her performance doesn't come anywhere close to Rachel McAdams at all. It doesn't. And some iconic dialogue from the 2004 that is there is just forced, and the dialogue delivery is cringe because the actors were just trying to remember the iconic lines and just quote the iconic lines from that original movie, thinking they could recreate a classic, and no, they failed to do that because you can't recreate a classic at all. It's impossible to do something like that. And the musical numbers in this are way too constant, and they are awkward like every single time they happen. I could just go on, but oh no, this is just a prime example of not every Broadway adaptation of a movie needs a film adaptation or even a remake. At this rate. Now, this may be a bad musical film, but guess what? Later, near the end of the year, we actually got another musical film that was so much worse. And it was a sequel and not a remake. Now kicking off at number 3, obviously it's going to be JOKER Folie A Deux. JOKER Folie A Deux. A sequel to a masterpiece that's probably my favorite film of 2019. Almost hit the number 1 spot. But there were 2 films worse than this movie. If those 2 films did not come out, guess what? I think this would definitely be right at number 1. If this was a top worst sequels of 2024, this definitely would go at the number 1 spot. This was probably the shittiest sequel I ever saw this year. And one of the shittiest sequels I ever saw in a very long time. Just why the fuck Todd Phillips? When the first one came out, I don't want to do a sequel. You lied, because guess what? 3 years later, you know what? I want to do a sequel. And you don't want to know what's worse? Not just a sequel. I want it to be a musical film. La 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 la, boo! Yeah, a dark thriller, a sequel to a dark thriller film becomes a fucking joke by making this a musical sequel. Why do you think I wish Joker stayed a standalone movie in the first place? This movie is fucking proof. And also, the thing is, Todd Phillips sucks ass at making sequels. Biggest example, The Hangover. And he's learned nothing from those shitty sequel films. You think, if you were going to make a Joker sequel, you think that would be about him meeting Harley Quinn as a prisoner in Arkham Asylum, and the two would be planning their escape from Arkham Asylum to rule all the crime rate in Gotham, and to have more foreshadowing of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman? No, that's not here at all. In fact, they act like Bruce Wayne doesn't even exist in this movie. They act like any of the Waynes don't exist in this movie. Instead, all you get here is not that many scenes of Harley and Arthur at all. Most of the movie is just some trial in court that hogs up a majority of the film, and the song numbers that happen are lame, and they're not even original, because at one point, Arthur Fleck sings a song from Stevie Wonder, and the musical scenes are all out of place. So it turns what is supposed to be a gritty story into some awkward spectacle. If you're making a sequel to something like Joker, you don't mix a dark story, you don't make it a fucking musical, you don't add fucking song numbers. And another thing, the pacing was off. There's too many long drawn out sequences that are pointless. They don't delve deeper into Arthur Fleck's psyche, and the film just meanders with confusing plot choices and forced artistic flourishes that don't resonate at all. they show us some pathetic version of the Joker and give us the Harley Quinn you get. Yeah, Lady Gaga did pretty good for the performance for the shitty material she had to work with. But she's just so inaccurate to Harley Quinn to the point where you could just call this a different character. Like, the real Jokers are pretty much the whole crew and Todd Phillips. The movie, like, as soon as this movie opens up with some random Looney Tunes cartoon, you know what you're gonna watch. Like, this whole movie is basically not even a movie. It's basically Todd Phillips giving nothing but a fuck you to fans who loved that first film, thinking they loved it for the wrong reasons, and basically turning Arthur Fleck into some fictional version of himself instead. Where it basically is like, hey, you love Joker for the wrong reasons, so you know what? I'm gonna shit all over that first film and I'm gonna fucking kill Arthur off at the end. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding, that fucking happens. He actually dies at the end of this movie. More on that later, like, how the movie ends, where after Arthur gets butt-raped in prison by all the guards he insulted on TV, he announces, I'm not gonna be Joker anymore, I'm just gonna be Arthur Fleck, and then the court gets destroyed, he flees to the city, but Harley saw all this, and he's like, no, we're not going anywhere, so I'm dumping your ass and I'm leaving you forever. And leaves him to just leaves his ass to go to jail. Back to jail, and probably live the rest of his life, and die in a dirty-ass prison alone. And his death actually doesn't come from any of the police. It comes from some random guy who apparently is supposed to be our real Joker. This might as well also be Todd Phillips, a fictional Todd. I'm surprised. This might as well just be some guy played by Todd Phillips himself. Because this scene is basically Todd Phillips destroying his own creation right here. The guy basically tells him, what do you get when a psychopath and a clown go to a bar together, and the psychopath offers to give the clown a drink? The drink is called What You Fucking Deserve. And then guess what? Dobbs stabs Arthur in the stomach 6 times. And Arthur falls, more son numbers as I'm bleeding to death. And the guy you killed me's laughing and carving into his mouth as I bleed to death and die. The end! Yep, that ending. The last shot you ever see of Arthur Fleck again is him being stabbed in a dirty-ass prison hall by some random hack who's apparently supposed to be the real Joker the whole time. The disrespectful send-off Todd Phillips gives Arthur Fleck, and this director boosting his fucking ego, is what made this in the top 3 of the worst list for me this year. And easily what made this the worst sequel I've ever watched of 2024. Yeah, because of all this, that's why this whole film fucking bombed. Because it was a shitty-ass movie. But kicking off at number 2 is going to be for a comic book film that was worse than JOKER Folie A Deux. And I think you obviously all know the movie I am talking about. Madam Web. Now, before I thrash this movie, I will say this. Yep, I know they announced they're not doing the Zonyverse anymore, and thank God for that. Thank God this Zonyverse is now done and over with, because they confirmed Kraven was the last one they were going to do, so amen for that. But we still need to talk about this film, and the worst it had to offer. The whole actual movie, from beginning to end, is a train wreck of bad acting, lame, bratty, shitty characters, and embarrassingly bad script. Like, this movie was such garbage from start to finish. It's probably, I don't think I've seen a comic film worse than, Catwoman, or Ghost Rider Camera of Shakiness, or Morbius, or Fan 4 shit, almost as shitty as Fan 4 shit. Holy hell. Now, okay, here's the thing, guys. Where is it? Damn it, where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, people want to shit on this movie. People think the humor in this film is cringy. Guess what, guys? There's even cringier fucking dialogue in this movie. People want to shit on the Andrew Garfield series, and people think that's too convoluted, especially the sequel's too convoluted. This film's even more convoluted, and even more embarrassing. So let's start finish. Like, people want to shit on Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 all they want. This movie makes those films look like masterpieces. Like, and you know what? I think after this movie, I think this duology and this film deserve a fucking apology. Especially this movie needs to have a fucking apology. I really do. Because they got a film that's worse than either of those movies. Dakota Johnson, as the main character, delivers a performance that is so vomit-inducing and devoid of any emotion. Like, it's hard to tell if she's either be the protagonist or just a bratty asshole or background filler. The supporting cast fares no better than every character because they just feel like a cardboard cutout, no personality, no depth, or they're just whiny and bratty to sit through that you just want them to die. The writing does not even help either because it's almost like as if everybody just gave up through reading all the cringeworthy script, and I don't blame them. In a script like this, the characters themselves are so uninspired and so forgettable. Each one's just an archetype pulled from how you don't do a superhero movie and attempts to flash them out with tragic backstories or emotional moments to make it look like we're supposed to give a shit, but they fall flat because the script doesn't want to give the audiences reasons to care about anyone. Madam Web in this movie, Dakota Johnson's character was such a rude bitch in this whole movie. Like, I don't think I've ever wanted a lead in a Spider-Man related film to die in my damn life. I hated Morbius, but I don't think I wanted the main character Morbius to really die. I didn't like it. I didn't like that character, but I don't think I wanted him to die, though. This bitch, though, I hated her so much, and her 3 teenage brat companions, I wanted all 4 of them to die. Like, all these 4 do, they are rude, they are unpleasant, they even advertise Pepsi throughout the damn whole film. This whole movie advertises Pepsi. You have Uncle Ben holding a Pepsi can. You have Pepsi in a diner. The villain getting killed by a Pepsi sign at the end of the movie. Just Pepsi everywhere. So I might as well call this Madam Web Pepsi the movie. There's so much shitty advertising. The plot is a mess that tries to juggle too many ideas, and it goes fucking nowhere. The pacing is uneven. There's long stretches of boring exposition with poorly choreographed CGI fight scenes. The whole film has shitty CGI because it's all lifeless and low budget. This is like $100 million, and it doesn't feel like it. The dialogue is, I already mentioned, is terrible. Like, as in terrible dialogue. There's one scene in the movie where Emma Roberts' May is having a baby shower for what's soon to be Peter Parker that you'll never see in this universe because this universe has been shut down. And plus, yeah. And Madam Web literally makes this unfunny joke. Well, I never met my mom, and the reason I never met my mom is because as soon as I was born, she died. Ha ha ha! Yeah, and then she laughs like it's funny. And Emma Roberts' character's face looks fucking disturbed and uncomfortable. Like, she clearly looks like, that's not that funny. And Madam Web clearly thinks it's something to laugh about. And Madam Web clearly doesn't give a fuck her own mom died after being born. So that's perfect. So that's so perfect. That's a great character. Good character. This is one of the reasons I want his character to die. Another scene has May's water break. They're like, did I just pee on the floor or did my water break? If that clearly looks like your water broke, dumbass. Our villain is some evil Spider-Man who has nightmares about these teenagers are going to be 3 future Spider Women killing him. And the movie never explains why, so it doesn't fucking matter. And he needs to kill them all before they kill him. And Madam Web, with her newfound blind abilities to see in the future, has to stop him. So it's like, overall, just fuck this movie. And I'm glad we never have any more Sonyverse shit after this year ever again. Alright, now before we get to the number 1 pick, let's get through the dishonorable mention clips.
Names in my honor. Serving the Senate and the people of Rome is honor enough for me.
You are too modest, Acacius. It does not suit a general as accomplished as yourself.
The glory is yours, not mine. I only ask for some respite from war, to spend time with my wife.
Put it down, or you can die right fucking now.
Guys, come on.
Fucking try me.
Sammy, shut the fuck up! What the fuck? How the fuck did she get out of those cuffs? Huh?
What? Even if he wins the Open, completes his career Grand Slam, Art's still gonna retire as someone who's just really, really good. That's what you guys will have done together. But imagine if you could turn Patrick Zweig into a guy who wins a slam.
Oh no! He's got a walking stick. What are you gonna do, stroll me to death?
This stick is not for the strolling. It's the staff of wisdom.
The Dragon Warrior is gonna be mad when he finds out you took his stick.
I am the Dragon Warrior.
I'm just gonna say it. Nothing about you says dragon or warrior.
What did I miss? She spoke. She called my name.
You misheard.
You said this Nova was smarter than most.
All right. And with that, the number one worst movie of 2024 would easily have to be Borderlands. Number one worst of this year, Borderlands. Wow. Lionsgate has now appeared at number one on 2 worst of the year lists. Last year, my number one most hated film was Expendables 4. And this year, my number one most hated film of this year is Borderlands. And they're both made by Lionsgate. Strangers Chapter 1 was made by Lionsgate as well. But so that's technically 2 times they've appeared on the worst list. Wow. They are going through some shitty time right now. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But Borderlands, clearly a film that was just doomed to begin with. Like a film that was directed by Eli Roth. But Eli Roth wasn't on set most of the time because he had to go do Thanksgiving. So it got fucked over by Avi Arad, the man behind the Zoniverse. That's all you need to know. This is a PG-13 video game movie of an R-rated video game series. So suppose you're a Borderlands fan, and Eli Roth will be directing a movie adaptation. You get excited, so that means you'll actually get a gory adaptation like the games are gory. But then you hear he has to leave to do stuff with Thanksgiving. So Tim Miller and Avi Arad come in and they ruin shit. Yeah, the Tim Miller who directed Terminator Dark Woke. And they fuck it all up. And they're going to have it be a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff and be a PG-13 unfunny comedy instead. Where here, your new Guardians of the Galaxy ripoffs, they're pretty much unlikable, idiot losers that you don't root for. And they just have you rooting for the villain to win. Kate Blanchett's character, Kevin Hart's character, they're just there to look bored and don't look like they give a fuck. Jamie Lee Curtis, who after just having won an Oscar for Everything Ever All at Once, is there to just downright humiliate herself in some goofy-ass role, some lame character. Ariana Greenball, aka the bratty daughter from Barbie and young Gamora from Infinity War, is there to be such an annoying brat that never shuts up. And you have to sit through her annoying humor for the whole runtime. But she's not the number one worst character, guys. The number one worst character of all of them is fucking Claptrap, who easily would probably have to be Jack Black's worst role of his entire career. Like, people could say Jar Jar Binks was the worst comic relief ever. Nah, I think that goes to Claptrap, and I think people need to apologize. I wish people would try to maybe apologize for their Jar Jar comments and see that maybe Jar Jar wasn't as bad as this character is. Because at least Jar Jar contributes to the fucking plot of Phantom Menace. This Claptrap guy contributed nothing. I wanted this robot to get smashed up his constant pooping, diarrhea, laxative ass every time he makes an annoying poo joke or an unfunny song or dance or gag. It's almost like the writers looked at one short cutscene from one Borderlands game and decided, hey, that should all be turned to a movie. The dialogue is atrocious, the humor is not funny at all, the action has no weight to any of it because it's PG-13. This movie just had, no redeeming qualities for this movie. I hated this movie so fucking much. It is so bad. Just one of the worst video game films I've ever seen in ages, since any Uwe Boll film. The only thing I'm grateful for this is that I watched this, like, by the time I watched this, I had gotten back from my trip, so I didn't have to watch this in theaters. Thank God for that. The writing is abysmal, the storytelling also sucks, the acting even sucks. It's like, because it's clear these actors didn't care about this project, and with the crap material they were given, is that really not a shock? This was just nothing more than a paycheck for these people, and a huge cash grab that thankfully failed miserably because it bombed so hard when it came out. A film whose director abandoned it well before reshoots took place, featured the serious case of development hell. It's right there. And there's just a number of warning signs that making themselves that Eli Roth's $1 million reach cinemas was not going to go well. Like Borderlands just right here. All the production designs suck. Like, just everything about this movie sucks. This is going on a little too long now, so let's make this a little more short. Borderlands, like, is devoid of anything that is close to a resemblance of a good feature film. And it will easily be the #1 worst film I have seen of this year. Of 2024. Okay, there we go, guys. That pretty much wraps up my top 11 worst films of 2024 video. So I want to know in the comments down below what your list would be. And until then, guys, that'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.